I accidentally fell into the water during the Lantern Festival and was saved by Lu Xiao, who saw me in a compromising state. Pressured by propriety, I was forced to marry him. He came from humble beginnings, was burly and rough, with a hideous scar on his forehead. Nothing like the refined scholar I had imagined. After we married, he climbed the ranks, drawing envy and gossip, prompting me to demand a divorce. A brute now holds high office, surrounded by women. Your home is in chaos. Younger sister, you must plan ahead. Quote, in the end, that man was framed and imprisoned. I returned to my maiden home with the divorce papers I had long dreamed of, only to be kicked out by my stepmother. I later froze to death on the street, but he, dragging his broken body, brought me home and buried me with honors. Having returned to the day I fell into the water, before he goes to prison, it is my turn to take the initiative. I opened my eyes to find my stepmother, Shen Lanfu, sobbing beside me. Finally, my younger brother, Shen Mingxuan, stood by the bed, along with my stepmother and my father. I had actually returned to the day of the Lantern Festival. I struggled to sit up and found Lu Xiao sitting in the main hall. Clearly, he was my savior. Yet, he stood to the side like a culprit, looking completely at a loss. General Lu, thank you for saving my daughter, but since she fell in and lost her reputation, being carried home by you in public view, I fear the gossip tomorrow will make it difficult for her to marry in the future. Quote, Shen Mingxuan immediately retorted.
If elder sister never marries, I will support her for the rest of her life.
My father fumed.
Stop spouting such nonsense.
He turned around and bowed apologetically to Lu Xiao. General Lu, forgive my daughter's lack of manners. Thanks to your rescue today, my daughter Shen Yu is alive. I will send a gift to your manor tomorrow to show my gratitude. Quote, it was merely passing by, a small gesture. Lord Shen need not mention it.
He remained as kind and as inarticulate as ever. It is a pity that in my past life, I did not cherish such a good man. I took the initiative to offer to see him out, striving for a moment alone with him. He followed behind me, walking with his head down in small steps. As we passed a corner, I suddenly stopped and turned around, and he bumped right into me. Miss Shen, I did not mean to offend you. I backed him into a corner, step by step, and braced my arms on either side of him. General Lu, I hear you have yet to take a wife. If you do not mind, Shen Yu is willing to marry you and offer herself to repay your life-saving grace. How about it? Quote, he was teased until his face turned bright red. He looked up in disbelief, speechless, and I quickly masked my eyes, pretending to be embarrassed. Forget it. The general likely already has someone in his heart, so I shall not force you.
Fine, I will marry you. I'll come to propose in a few days.
With that, he fled in a panic. Watching his back, my lips curled up. Back then, I reluctantly agreed to clarify things with him, never knowing he was also a victim of rumors. Now, it's my turn to take the initiative to marry him. A month later was the day of our wedding. Stepping off the sedan chair, a strong, calloused hand was extended toward me, surrounded by the boisterous cheers of his comrades. His hand was trembling, so I gripped it tightly, and my palm instantly warmed up. As he led me to bow before our parents, one of his colleagues seized the chance to push him forward when we were facing each other, causing him to stumble toward me. He tried to sidestep, but as he was about to fall to the ground, I caught him in my arms, surrounded by mocking laughter.
Look, the bride is getting impatient.
Just as we were about to be sent to the bridal chamber, the emperor's decree arrived, ordering him to leave for the frontier immediately. Through the red veil, I pressed the peace talisman I had prepared into his hand. Husband, since it is an imperial order, go quickly so you don't miss the opportunity. His tall figure hesitated for a moment.
My lady, please handle everything in the manor while I am away.
After saying this, he mounted his horse in his wedding robes and hurried off, leaving me alone to entertain the guests. I did not blame him like I did in my past life for abandoning me on our wedding night to go to the frontier. He was, after all, a military commander. Defending the borders was his duty. He came from a commoner family and only settled in the capital last year after receiving rewards from the emperor for his meritorious service. I hired a steward and a few servants for the manor. That night, I went to the market to find more maids, picking one honest girl to serve by my side and naming her Suxin. My personal maid, Bidao, looked uneasy. Bidao has followed you for years, miss. Are you dissatisfied with my service? Quote, in my previous life, it was only after my death that I realized Bidao was a spy planted by my sister. She never left my side, reporting my every move to my sister. I feigned thoughtfulness. Bidao, I've seen how hard you've worked serving me all these years. With Suxin here to share the load, you can finally have some rest. Quote, she believed me and was deeply moved. Thank you for your consideration, miss. It is my blessing to serve you, and I do not find it a hardship at all. Quote, it took a full 3 days for me to finish organizing everything in the house. On the day of my homecoming visit, my younger sister and elder sister cornered me, singing in harmony. My younger sister had a look of disdain on her face. Little sister, that Lu Shao is truly a brute. You've been deeply wronged. Mother sighed, it has come to this. Since he saved you after you lost your virtue, you must marry him. Just accept your fate. Quote, I lowered my eyes, clutching my sleeves tightly. On the night of the Lantern Festival, my half-sister, Li, unusually invited me out, saying that Pei Yu from the Zhao family would be there. I had met Pei Yu once and developed an interest, but I never saw him that night. Instead, I was pushed into the water. I covered my face and said with a trembling voice, Mother, sister, someone clearly tried to drown me that night. If I find out who it was, I will make them pay in blood and ensure they meet a wretched end. Quote, the hands on my shoulders stiffened at once. Mother coughed lightly and turned her head. Since you are already married into the Liu family, you must plan for your own future. Capturing your husband's heart and making him work for you is the only sensible path. Quote, if he rises, you will also be honored, sister added, her eyes gleaming with greed. Prince Yu is currently in the emperor's favor. If you can convince Liu to pledge his loyalty to him, once the prince ascends the throne, you needn't worry about lacking glory and wealth. Quote, she had quite a scheme, wanting me to be the stepping stone for her to become the princess of Yu. I bowed my head, my voice sounding weak. Sister is beautiful, and I am far from it. My status is low, and I fear I hold no weight in his heart. Quote, this is harder than climbing to the heavens. She lifted my chin with satisfaction and whispered in my ear, if your beauty is lacking, your methods can make up for it. Just put more effort into your intimate time together. I sneered inwardly, keeping my face blank. Mother's gaze shifted as she warned me again. Be careful with the new maid servants. Don't let them crawl into his bed. Your mother was a prime example of that. Her face was full of hatred. She was merely venting her spite toward my late mother, yet it was she who had personally sent my mother to my father's side, only growing hateful once my mother gained favor. After giving birth to me and Mingxuan, my mother ended up buried in a straw mat in a mass grave. Not wanting to tangle further, I gave a perfunctory excuse and returned to the mansion. When I got home, the sun was setting. Lu Shao returned on horseback, covered in dust, his collar stained with sweat. Seeing him in such a state, my heart was struck with a wave of guilt. He was out there facing life and death for the sake of the country, while I was living in ease at the mansion. I went up to meet him and smiled. Husband, drink this mung bean soup to cool off. He fumbled awkwardly in his chest, pulling out a glass agate, wiping it repeatedly on his sleeve.
I saw it was translucent at the frontier and thought it would suit you, so I bought it. It's stained with my sweat, though, if you don't mind. Quote,
I took it and pinned it into my hair. I like it very much. I took out a handkerchief and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He looked up, a flush rising on his dark face. That night, I took out a new robe tailored to his size. His old one was washed until it was pale, the collar frayed, yet he was willing to spend money on me. After changing, he looked uneasy. Is it a bit ridiculous? He had lost weight from traveling for days, and the robe hung slightly loose. I stepped forward to tighten his belt, my fingertips brushing against his firm waist. Not ridiculous at all. It makes you look even more dashing. After lying down, his breathing grew heavier in the darkness.
My lady, I should go sleep on the couch.
I knew he was exhausted. The couch was too small for him to sleep soundly. Does my husband not wish to share the bed with me? Is there something I have done wrong? I sounded aggrieved, and he began to stammer. No, no. One day, he left with dark circles under his eyes. Within a few days, Lu Shao was promoted to a third-rank general. The crown prince personally bestowed the honor, and the whole capital celebrated. This meant he was aligned with the crown prince and could no longer be used by the Li family. So my stepmother sent someone to summon me. She claimed to have caught a cold. Mother, that brute has been promoted. He will surely start taking concubines left and right. You must plan ahead. Quote, when she urged me to marry him, she told me to endure and please him. Now that she saw no hope of winning him over, she feared me living too well. I smiled coldly. Thank you for your concern, mother. Returning to the backyard, I saw Shen Ningxuan practicing with his spear in a secluded area. The silver spear moved like a dragon, his movements agile. Seeing me, he hurriedly threw the spear into a corner, looking flustered. In my previous life, I despised his martial arts as vulgar, scolding him for being a brute like Liu. Later, he was falsely accused of forcing himself on me while drunk, and father disowned him for shaming the family name. He abandoned his spear and left, only to die tragically under the blades of bandits. I bent down, picked up the silver spear, and handed it back to him. Azan, you practice so well. Keep training hard. You will surely be a general one day. Quote, he looked up abruptly, his eyes full of disbelief.
Sister, You don't think I'm vulgar?
It was I who was short-sighted in the past. I said softly, if you like it, then keep practicing. That evening, my sister pretended to be kind. AU is truly lucky. She's been married less than a month, and her husband has already been promoted.
My father took up the conversation, subtly pressuring me. You, the Prince of Yu is currently powerful in court, and the Crown Prince is weak. You should persuade him to find the right path as soon as possible. Quote, back then, they looked down on Lu and pushed me onto him just to humiliate me. He had just turned red with envy, so Shen Mingxuan interrupted him.
I have a headache. I'm going back to my room to rest.
My father slammed his chopsticks onto the table.
You rebellious child, your parents haven't spoken yet. How can you leave first? Quote,
Shen Mingxuan didn't hear him at all and left without looking back, leaving my father fuming. Amidst the chaos, Bai Dao also snuck out. Suxin signaled me with her eyes, but I shook my head, telling her not to follow. Fan Bai pretended to be puzzled and said, Sister, didn't Bai Dao come back with you today? How could she be nowhere to be found? Shen Mingxuan had been gone for 15 minutes. I naturally knew what he was up to. As soon as she finished speaking, her maid came running over in a panic. Eldest miss, it's terrible. I was just taking dinner to the madam and saw Bai Dao and the young master enter the room. When I passed by again, I heard Bai Dao with a man in the side room. Quote, she stopped right there, her eyes full of intrigue. She spoke to my second sister, but her gaze darted toward me. Sister, why don't you accompany me to take a look? The side room was dim, with the heavy breathing of a man and a woman drifting out. Bai Dao's voice kept crying out. Please, let me go. If the two young misses find out, I will be. Before she could finish, the man interrupted her. My second sister spoke righteously. That girl Bai Dao dares to commit such a shameful act in this manner. She must have seduced Shen Mingxuan. Chun-Li, go bring mother here to handle this. Quote. In less than 10 minutes, mother was helped into the room by Chun-Li. At my sister's signal, a group of servants pushed the door open. Bai Dao scrambled off the bed, kneeling on the ground and sobbing. Madam, eldest miss, second miss, I am wronged. The young master set this trap. I was only. I turned to the side, letting Shen Mingxuan stand before Bai Dao.
Oh, after I left the table, I went back to my courtyard to rest. I just woke up. Do not slander me. Suxin promptly ordered someone to bring in lit candles.
How can it be you?
Shen Mingxuan shouted loudly, seeing my father lying on the bed with a flushed face in the bright candlelight. Fortunately, he was covered by a quilt, otherwise, he would have been naked. My mother turned pale, choked with rage, and slowly collapsed. Bai Dao was startled. How could it be the master? Eldest miss, I truly didn't know. I am wronged. Quote, eldest miss, please believe me. I have followed your instructions since this morning. Quote, to follow the young master. Before she could finish, my father impatiently commanded, someone, drag her out. No matter how father begged, my sister remained indifferent, ignoring him completely, so I stepped in to add, sister, father isn't wearing much. I fear he might catch a cold. Quickly have someone help father back to his room to rest, and mother, who just improved today, fainted again just now. We must find a doctor to treat her. Everything in the manor is handled by me. You needn't worry. It's getting late. You should head back to your own estate. He kept his eyes tightly shut, his brows furrowed. In the chaos, no one noticed that Suxin had been absent the entire time. Shen Mingxuan followed behind me, looking both smug and relieved.
It's a good thing you reminded me, sister. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to see this show today.
You are naive and simple-minded. After mother passed, Shen Mingxuan became my only kin. Now that I am married, I cannot protect you at all times. A true man should aim for the world at large. You cannot be trapped in this manner forever.
I understand, sister. Don't worry about me.
Just before boarding the carriage, Shen Mingxuan called out to me.
I hear the general is very formidable and treats you well. You must not listen to the nonsense of others.
Looking at Shen Mingxuan's expression, I tapped him twice on the forehead. You should worry about yourself first. When I rushed home, the general was sitting in the courtyard, guarding a table of cold dishes, as if waiting for me for a long time, looking upset. He got straight to the point.
Where did you go today, madam?
With the changing of the seasons, mother suddenly caught a cold, so I returned to my maiden home to visit. He took a sip of the cold tea and let out a soft sound, his voice calm.
You certainly care about your own mother, madam.
What did he mean by that? Before I could figure it out, he turned and left, accidentally knocking over a bowl of medicine nearby. The bitter scent spread, and I hurriedly sent Suxin to clean it up. My lady, I heard from Steward Joe that the general caught a cold today and even had a fever earlier. He sat in the courtyard all evening waiting for you, neither eating nor taking his medicine. He must feel neglected because you visited your mother but didn't check on him. Thinking carefully, he did cough just now, and his complexion was haggard. I hadn't even noticed, as I was too busy planning how to deal with the stepmother and rescue Shen Mingxuan. I have indeed neglected him, knowing only that he leaves early and returns late every day, but having no idea what he does. Does he think I don't like him or care about him? An hour later, he ordered the servants to move his bedding to the study. I held the medicine bowl and stepped forward to block his way. He said coldly,
If you don't like me, madam, why stop me?
He lifted his long leg, one foot stepping over the threshold. I hurried to hug him from behind, his body stiffening at my embrace. Madam, what does this mean? Recalling my past and present life, all the ways I treated him poorly, I suddenly felt I was truly awful. It was my fault. As the words left my lips, tears surged forth, soaking his back. Helplessly, he turned around and gently wiped my eyes with his sleeve. I steeled myself and wrapped my arms around his waist. His body stiffened again. Ever since you saved me, I have held gratitude in my heart for you. After a moment of silence, he said gloomily.
Only gratitude?
Meeting his gaze, the light in his stern, dark eyes dimmed. It was all my fault for treating him so badly in the past. I stood on tiptoe and touched the faint scar at the corner of his eye. At first it was gratitude, but then I realized you were too good, and I couldn't help but fall for you. My love, these past days have been my fault. I shouldn't have ignored you. You can punish me however you like. Quote, please, don't be angry with me, and definitely don't gamble with your own health. You must be well. I only want to spend my life with you. He was stunned for a moment. Beneath his sturdy chest, his heart beat violently.
Ah.
Before he could finish, I picked up the medicine bowl and fed it to him. This time, you can drink your medicine obediently, right? 2 months later, Shen Mingxuan arrived at our door. Sister, do you know how formidable that Bidao is? I raised an eyebrow. Feigning curiosity, I asked, how so?
She has completely bewitched father. Not only was she not punished, she was promoted. Now she bickers with mother every day. It's quite something. Quote, she made mother so angry she's bedridden, and this time, no matter what tricks mother tries, father is biased toward Bidao. Quote, what's more, a few days ago Bidao felt unwell. Mother, happy to call a doctor, hoped to find her sick, but the doctor actually discovered she was pregnant. Quote, father says I'm a good for nothing. He's given up on me achieving anything and is just hoping Bidao will give him a chubby son. Quote,
I hadn't expected Bidao to have such skills. She was originally sent to harm Shen Mingxuan, but she climbed into the wrong bed and became a concubine, fighting mother to a draw. It worked out unintentionally. Looking at the carefree Shen Mingxuan, I teased, you're still laughing? In father's eyes, you're already a good for nothing, and you're still grinning without any ambition. Quote,
My lady, you once mentioned that Shen Mingxuan is skilled with a spear. Why not let him try his hand in the army?
Shen Mingxuan's eyes widened. Brother-in-law, is that really possible?
Your sister says not only are you skilled in combat, but you're also quick-witted. If you're willing, you can join the army, but don't expect any special treatment from me.
That goes without saying. With my skills, I'll surely make something of myself just like you one day. He patted his chest in assurance and rushed home to pack, ready to report to the barracks tomorrow. At the banquet, I saw my sister again. Unlike her usual radiant self, she looked quite thin and frail, appearing delicate and moving. I kindly leaned over to add some food to her plate. Sister, I haven't seen you in a few days and you've grown so thin. You really must nourish yourself. I specifically picked a piece of fatty, succulent pork knuckle for her, but she suddenly turned to the side and retched. After a while, she struggled to sit up, gently stroking her lower abdomen, and whispered something to her maid, Chun-Li. I immediately understood. She must have crossed the line with Prince Yu long ago and is now carrying his child. The Dragon Boat Festival banquet is attended by princes, princesses, and the families of various officials. She must be planning to meet Prince Yu tonight. My apologies, Your Highness. It was my fault. I shouldn't have spilled this wine on you. While serving wine at the banquet, I accidentally spilled some on a lady dressed in fine clothes. She was graceful and wore a kind expression. It's fine, I'll just change my clothes. You may get up. Thank you, Princess Yu. This must be Xiao Mingwei, the princess who has been married to Prince Yu for a year. Xiao Mingwei is the daughter of General Donghua, who has been guarding the northwest frontier for many years. With a high status at court, after the crown prince married the prime minister's daughter, Prince Yu requested to marry Xiao Mingwei. Out of consideration for Prince Yu's mother, consort Xian, the emperor granted the marriage. Although Prince Yu married Mingwei, he disliked that she was the daughter of a soldier, finding her lacking the gentleness of a noble lady in her conduct. Despite being married for a year, he never grew close to her, spending his days in brothels and keeping a house full of concubines. As soon as Princess Yu left, my sister also found an excuse to slip away. I followed her quietly, and surely enough, I discovered that she had left with Prince Yu. The families of civil officials have never liked to associate with the families of us military men. I had no choice but to sit alone in a corner. After the princess changed her clothes, she came and sat beside me. I seized the opportunity to share a drink and converse with her. Until the singing and dancing ended, I didn't see my sister return. Without the entertainment, the well-fed guests wanted to take a walk in the garden. As soon as we entered, we heard a woman sobbing from behind the rockery. My prince, I am already carrying your child. If you don't marry me soon, how will I face others once my belly starts to show?
The man hurriedly comforted her. Sire, the child in your womb is my first. Once you give birth, I will not let you down. Xiao Mingwei is vulgar. If it weren't for her father being General Xiao, I would never have married her. You are the only one I truly love. Tomorrow, I will speak to my father. I will ask him to grant you the title of secondary consort.
The noblewomen gasped, not daring to look at the princess's expression. Someone wanted to interrupt, but was stopped by the princess, who signaled them to keep listening. The woman sobbed, My prince, I am pregnant before marriage. If the world finds out, they will surely say I lack virtue. Quote, Having taken such a risk, am I not worthy of the position of princess?
Fine, I will go ask for the decree to divorce Xiao Mingwei and marry you. Don't cry anymore, my little kitten.
Sire acted coyly and coquettishly. My prince, do not tease me. If you deceive me, I will have our child call another man father. Through the gap in the rockery, the two could be seen tightly embracing. All right, let's head back now. His Majesty is still at the banquet. The prince saw the princess and rushed to shield Sire behind him, saying in a deep voice,
Xiao Mingwei, why are you eavesdropping here?
The princess stood unyielding. My prince, since you dared to do it, why fear others watching and listening?
How dare you speak to me like that? Do you believe I won't go ask for a decree to divorce you right now?
Before he could go, the emperor arrived with his attendants. Fortunately, Suxin acted quickly and alerted the emperor. Because the prince and Sire were caught in an illicit affair in broad daylight, the emperor not only refused to let him divorce his wife but also forbade him from making her a secondary consort. However, since she was carrying his child, he had to have her brought into the manor in a small sedan chair to serve as a concubine. Unexpectedly, the princess chose to divorce him and return to the general's estate, while rumors of the prince and Sire spread like wildfire. After this incident, Sire's reputation was ruined. She would likely never have a chance at being the official consort. As the end of the year approached, I wanted to see out the old year with Liu, but war broke out at the borders, and Liu was forced to head out on an expedition. He was still heading out with the crown prince. In my past life, when Liu Xiao went on his expedition, I was recovering from a miscarriage. I despised him then and had no heart to care about his whereabouts. Later, he was imprisoned for allegedly conspiring with the crown prince in an act of treason. On the day of his departure, outside the city gates, he leaned down and pulled me into his arms.
My lady, I do not know when I shall return from this journey.
This was the first time we had been so intimate in public, and my cheeks burned instantly, but the thought of him and the crown prince being framed washed all shyness away. I racked my brain, but I had no memory at all of why or how he had been harmed back then. I gripped his waist and whispered in his ear, Husband, you must be careful and cautious. Do not fall into anyone's trap. You must return safely. I will be waiting for you at home. Quote, his calloused fingertips stroked my face, lingering for a long time as if unwilling to let go. He mounted his horse, followed the crown prince, and led the vast army on their expedition. A few days later, a maidservant from DMU's side sent word that she had fallen ill again. Distraught, plagued by nightmares, and constantly claiming that someone was trying to harm her. It seems the henbane seeds I had Su Shin secretly hide in DMU's pillow have taken effect. Henbane is odorless. Long-term ingestion causes mental confusion and a racing heart. If added directly to her drinks, the effect would be too sudden. I had Su Shin hide the seeds in her pillow. After my sister married into the King Yu's mansion, she wasn't favored for long. King Yu used her pregnancy as an excuse, claiming she was unfit to serve him, and turned his affections to other concubines. Her reputation was ruined, and being a concubine entering the mansion was already a heavy blow. Without his favor, she had no standing at all. Unwilling to be sidelined, she busied herself competing with the other concubines, leaving no time to look after DMU as a proper sister should. The pride of 20 years vanished, and she who once hoped to be the princess now found herself in despair. My younger sister was taken advantage of by that concubine, Bai Dao, who was pregnant and doted upon endlessly by my father. Now, Bai Dao uses DMU's illness as a pretext to seize control of the household, pretending to be a dutiful daughter-in-law, while the servants secretly treat her as the true mistress. Without my sister there to keep her in check, Bai Dao became even more unscrupulous. In the freezing winter, she only provided DMU with a small basin of coal and cut her rations. Coupled with the daily inhalation of henbane as she slept, it truly made her deathly ill. He previously sent someone to the Prince Yu manor to ask my sister to return and support him, but she flatly refused. With no other choice, he remembered me and deluded himself into thinking I would return to seek justice for him. Does he take me for a fool? When he mistreated my mother, he never showed any concern. Now that the tides have turned, he wants me, the victim, to save him. If he won't even listen to his own favored daughter, there's no way I will intervene. I might as well let them tear each other apart while I watch from the sidelines. A heavy snow fell last night, and I caught a cold. If I were to pass it on to mother, it would be even worse. Sucsin, send my excuses. After the crown prince led his troops to the front, victory reports poured in one after another. Liu Xiao is a brave and skilled commander, and with the crown prince's backing, half of the lost cities were reclaimed in less than a month. At this rate, they could wrap up the campaign and return in triumph within another month. The emperor was overjoyed and ordered a shipment of military supplies to be sent to the border. He even granted special permission for families to send letters along with them. Despite the constant reports of victory, my heart remained tight, unable to shake a lingering sense of foreboding. Sucsin silently reminded me of the tasks at hand. Young mistress, the transport convoy departs tomorrow. I picked up my brush again and hastily wrote a few words. Pray for your safe return. I took out the peace amulet my mother had once prayed for at Lunxi Temple for me, and sent it off on the day the supplies were being transported. Suddenly, I saw a familiar face, Xiao Mingwei. He was dressed in armor, standing tall with a resolute expression. A far cry from the dull, lifeless person he was at the manor. Born into a military family, he was never meant to be trapped within the confines of a household. Since he wasn't harmed this time, it seems the battlefield is where his heart truly belongs. Then, I suddenly realized that the man in charge of this transport was the same Zhao Huan who, in my previous life, produced the evidence to accuse the crown prince during Prince Yu's coup. He was a minor official who, after the crown prince's faction was imprisoned, produced letters and border defense maps supposedly showing the crown prince's collusion with the Zongnu. For his meritorious report, he was promoted 3 ranks in a row. It was precisely because of those maps that the Zongnu seized several key fortresses, which enraged the emperor and confirmed the crown prince's treason. I rushed to the study to write a letter. I warned him to be careful and not to hand the border defense maps to anyone else. Fearing he might think I was joking, in my desperation, I pricked my finger and left a blood-stained seal. Relying on the friendship between Zhao Huan and Xiao Mingwei, he promised that he would personally deliver the letter into Liu Xiao's hands. After doing everything, I still felt uneasy, but I had no choice but to trust Xiao Mingwei. The news Yuhan brought back after the supply delivery was the same shocking disaster as before. The crown prince has committed treason, causing the cities we just reclaimed to fall back into the hands of the Zongnu. The goods were delivered, but the person was nowhere to be found. My husband, Liu Xiao, was implicated and failed to escape. He was captured and thrown into prison. After disguising myself, I snuck into the dungeon, bribing the jailer heavily just to earn a chance to see him. Following the jailer's directions to the darkest corner, I found Liu Xiao with his eyes shut tight, his cheeks sunken, his appearance disheveled, and the blood from his heavy shoulder wounds already crusted over. I knocked gently on the doorframe. He slowly opened his eyes, his voice dry and hoarse.
Xie, you shouldn't have come.
I hurriedly took out the meat bun I had been keeping warm against my chest and handed it to him. After all the trouble, it was barely lukewarm, but he swallowed it in silence while I applied the medicinal ointment I brought to his wounds. Hardly half a moment later, the jailer urged me to leave, but before I did, He pulled the handkerchief I had once used to wipe his sweat from his sleeve, with the letter I had hidden wrapped inside.
My lady, with the serious charges against me this time, I fear it will be impossible to clear my name. If something happens to me, you must go on living well.
I scolded him for talking nonsense, but my words turned into a prophecy. The Crown Prince's aide, Zhao Huan, revealed correspondence between the Crown Prince and Zhongnu generals, sealed with the Crown Prince's official stamp. The handwriting matched his previous letters perfectly, making the evidence ironclad, and the fact that he went missing and fled before judgment only confirmed his guilt in colluding with the enemy. The emperor was furious and ordered Prince Yu to be responsible for tracking down the Crown Prince, to be dealt with only after he is found. It seems Liu Xiao never received the letter I asked Xiao Mingwei to send. Everything I did was in vain. Tears welled in my eyes, and my hand accidentally knocked over the tea, soaking the handkerchief Liu Xiao had returned to me. Su Xing hurriedly picked up the handkerchief, and the letter hidden inside fell out and unfolded. In a daze, I noticed that on the back of the page where I had only written 4 characters, he had written a divorce letter in his own blood. He cut ties to ensure I wouldn't be implicated. It was his final act of protection for me. In the end, I had received his divorce letter after all. I gasped for air. The tightly strung tension in my heart snapped like a spider's silk. I had worked so hard for this second chance to save those around me from their tragic ends, yet I still failed. What is meant to happen still happens, though some things differ from the past. The princess consort Yu wasn't killed by my sister. Shen Mingxuan wasn't forced away by Bidao. My sister entered the Prince Yu's estate early, and my stepmother was stripped of her authority. I will certainly find another way to turn the outcome of these events around. At the height of the crisis, I must see the evidence of the Crown Prince's treason with my own eyes. Only by finding a flaw in that evidence can I find a way to save the situation. If there is anyone who can access that evidence, no one is more suitable than my father, as he is the Minister of the Court of Judicial Review, responsible for presiding over such cases. My father hasn't paid me any mind for years, let alone now that I am the daughter of a disgraced official. So I have no choice but to start with Bidao. Although Bidao has defeated my stepmother, my sister is still around and is still Prince Yu's person. Because of this, he cannot act against my stepmother, and it is Prince Yu the first must deal with. If Prince Yu falls, my sister will lose her backing, and he will no longer have any concerns. I decided to take a gamble, seeing Bidao stroke her protruding belly with eyes full of affection. Second miss, the doctor says this child is sure to be a boy. By the time I give birth to him, I will surely be the mistress of this estate, won't I? I nodded quickly. The lady will surely get her wish. She smiled faintly. Thank you, second miss. Using Bidao is truly effective. Within a day, Bidao had news. The frontier defense plans are kept personally by the emperor, so all she could bring were those letters. I had to return them within a day. I scrutinized the letters for half a day but found nothing unusual, until my wrists ached. Suxin brought over some tremella and lotus seed soup. I drank the sweet soup, suddenly feeling weary. Miss, the Crown Prince's handwriting is so clean. Unlike me, a left-hander, whose writing is always smudged. Quote, Suxin, you can write? When I was little, before my family fell, I learned a bit. But I'm left-handed and used to writing from left to right. If I write too fast, the wet ink smears on my hand, and it looks messy, so I rarely write anymore. Quote, I suddenly remembered the Crown Prince sitting on the dais. He always used his left hand to hold his brush. Recalling his mannerisms, he always favored his left side. Following Suxin's logic, the Crown Prince is left-handed, so the letters he wrote shouldn't be this clean. I had Suxin and myself practice writing all night. By comparison, it was indeed the right-handed writing that was cleaner. Suxin, help me find the poem the Crown Prince and the General composed together when they were in high spirits last time. The Crown Prince once drank with Liu, and they composed poetry together. Liu was self-conscious about his poor handwriting and, fearing my mockery, always hid them away in the study. I found them, my lady. The large, ugly characters were surely Liu's. The prince's script was elegant and refined, yet the ink marks were identical to those written by Su Xing just now. I kept one letter for myself and handed the rest over. The Crown Prince still hasn't been found. The East Palace is completely surrounded by the Imperial Guard. Asking the Crown Princess to take me into the palace to see the Emperor is impossible now. On the way, I happened to run into General Xiao. He was Liu Xiao's mentor. Without his early guidance, Liu would never have attained his current status. General Xiao has served the country his entire life. Even though his only daughter was humiliated by Prince Yu, he never drew close to the Crown Prince. But as Liu Xiao's mentor, he has always believed in Liu's character. Under General Xiao's cover, I successfully snuck into the quiet prayer hall at Lingyan Temple where the emperor was staying. The emperor was praying devoutly. Having spent his early years on the battlefield, he often felt restless and came here to recuperate. Holding a lantern and the letters in the other, I tiptoed closer. I hadn't taken many steps when he suddenly spoke.
Your breathing is unsteady. Your heart is distracted. You do not look like one who has come here to worship.
The hidden guards in the shadows heard this and immediately appeared, pinning me to the ground. I immediately begged for mercy. Your Majesty, please forgive me. This humble subject harbors no evil intentions. Quote, he turned around, his presence commanding even without a word.
A mere woman. What is your purpose here?
The emperor spent his life in battle, using iron-fisted methods to save Dongling from external threats. Now, his obsession has caused internal strife, leading Prince Yu to frame the crown prince. I thought this, but I could not say it plainly. I had to protect myself to clear the names of the crown prince and Liu. I spoke with composed resolve. Your Majesty is wise and courageous, unrivaled in valor. You have quelled enemies, loved the people, and brought prosperity to Dongling for generations. Yet, a patriot like yourself is being framed by those with ulterior motives. I trust your Majesty will not let loyal subjects suffer, and will distinguish the truth from the lies. Quote, this humble subject has come to present evidence and begs for your Majesty's judgment. The emperor signaled, and the guards brought up the 2 letters. Your Majesty, please look. The top one is the crown prince's usual handwriting. Quote, the bottom one is the letter alleged to be treasonous. The prince always writes with his left hand, so there are inevitably ink smudges, while the bottom one is completely clean. One look, and your Majesty will understand. Quote, I lay prostrate on the ground, not daring to look up for a long time, my palms sweating slightly. The Buddhist hall was deathly silent, filled only with the sound of turning pages. His expression remained unchanged. After a long moment, he said slowly,
I know you. You are Liu Shao's wife. To be so young yet have such audacity. Are you not afraid I will have you executed?
I remained calm. Your Majesty, I believe you are wise and discerning, capable of distinguishing the truth. My husband is in trouble, and I could never just stand by and ignore it. Quote,
a truly devoted and righteous person. Very well, I shall grant your wish. Guards, take her away. Without my command, she is not to be released.
The next second, my vision went black and I collapsed. When I woke, I was still in a place where I couldn't see my own hand before my face. Fortunately, the emperor still sent people to bring me food, so I didn't starve to death. Days later, I finally saw the light again. As I opened my eyes, Liu Shao, completely unharmed, reached out and pulled me into his arms. Was I dreaming?
Sister, you aren't dreaming. You're still alive. Quote,
Shen Mingxuan crossed his arms, mocking me with a smile. It was only then that I learned a great event had occurred during these days. It turned out Xiao Ming arrived before the escort team and delivered my letter to Liu Shao. He immediately realized Zhao Huan intended to use the border defense map for evil, so he tampered with it on the way. After the crown prince learned of Prince Yu's scheme, he decided to evacuate the city's residents first, then handed over the empty city. The prince himself went into hiding. Zhao Huan returned to the capital with the forged letter and the fake map as evidence. The emperor was furious, and Liu Shao was thrown into prison as planned. The Zongnu army, riding high on momentum, pursued them, but following the fake map, they marched straight into the valley the prince had prepared. They suffered heavy losses and retreated outside the borders. At court, Prince Yu begged the emperor to convict the crown prince of treason. Unexpectedly, the crown prince appeared and publicly exposed Prince Yu for colluding with his advisor Zhao Huan to commit treason and frame him. The court was in an uproar, and Prince Yu scrambled to defend himself. As the emperor hesitated to pass judgment, a desperate Prince Yu tried to seize power by force, immediately mobilizing the imperial guards. The crown prince arrived just in time to capture the rebels, and everyone in Prince Yu's residence became a prisoner. Exiled to the north, my pregnant younger sister was stabbed to death. It is rumored that to save her life, she screamed that the child she carried was not Prince Yu's, but that of Prince Yu's subordinate. Prince Yu killed her on the spot. Since Prince Yu had no children, I actually believe what she said was likely the truth. After my sister died, her mother went insane, asking everyone she met where her daughter was. My father found him despicable and confined him to the backyard, assigning guards to ensure he wouldn't step a foot outside. He finally got his wish and was formally disowned. I watched Shen Mingxuan idling away his days in the military camp, not knowing what to do. With his family all but ruined, how could he remain so indifferent? Who on earth is in that camp to make him act this way? I begged Liu Shao to sneak me into the camp, and it turns out that when Shen Mingxuan was at the border, Xiao Mingwei saved him from the Zongnu. Now, he eagerly volunteers to be Xiao Mingwei's sparring partner every day. The more he gets thrown around, the wider he grins. All right, I know who is in the camp now. Lu Wei approached and said, My lady, There's no need to worry about him. Why not focus on starting a family with me instead? Quote, I haven't even settled the score with him and the crown prince for deceiving me. And he wants to have children? Perhaps my husband should start by sharing how it felt to be in prison. I sat down in a huff, and he hurriedly handed me a cup of tea.
My lady, please calm your anger and let me explain. 2 days before Zhao Huan arrived to escort the grain and grass, Xiao Mingwei gave me your handwritten letter as a precaution. I hid the real defense map and, after consulting with the crown prince, had a fake one made. Once Zhao Huan arrived, he kept fishing for information on the map, so I knew he was up to no good. The crown prince and I staged this play to drive back the Zongnu and capture Prince Yu.
He remained calm, which made me so angry I pounded on his chest. Are you not afraid of pain? You were so severely wounded, yet you still insisted on seeing the act through to the end. And you even went as far as to give me a divorce paper. Aren't you afraid that I might have actually stolen the military funds and flown the coup?
My lady, your letters said you were longing for my return. You would never abandon me. Besides, we had to see the act through to avoid suspicion, right? Quote, look, Prince Yu fell for it. Plus, Shen Mingxuan said you liked men who were lean, so I figured I'd endure some hardship and trim down in the process. Quote,
The lower his head bowed, the more I fumed. Why does that boy spill everything? Does he have no regard for my dignity? Fine. I won't blame you, but does your body still hurt? No pain at all. It definitely won't affect our ability to have children. Hearing this, I wore a troubled expression. Last time, I conceived after only a few encounters. But even with us together every day now, there has been no sign. Since I was pregnant before, the problem clearly isn't with me. I hadn't brought it up before for fear of hurting his feelings. Husband, would you like to go see a doctor first? His face turned ashen immediately.
You doubt my ability?
I'm not saying you can't, but perhaps there might be a problem. Let's go ask the doctor and we'll know. He sighed and said frankly,
My dear wife, I spent little time at home before, and I worried that if you were with child, you wouldn't be able to manage alone, so I asked the doctor for a prescription to help, which led you to mistakenly think I wasn't capable.
You fool, to think you'd go to such lengths for me. What could I possibly have done to deserve such kindness from you?
Do you remember the Lantern Festival? How you looked holding those lanterns? You were truly enchanting. When you jumped into the river without hesitation to save that little child, I found myself instinctively wanting to save you. After going to your home, I realized you should have been a pampered daughter, but instead, you were treated so poorly by your parents. I decided then and there to marry you and cherish you like a treasure.
Who would have thought that a man so brawny could say such sweet things? I tiptoed and planted a kiss on his cheek.
My lady, you will know soon enough. On the day of the Lantern Festival, I left the Crown Prince's mansion and met a delicate, round-faced girl by the river. She followed behind her sister, carrying several strings of colorful lanterns in her hands. The colorful lanterns cast their glow upon her face. She was radiant, so different from the dust, dirt, and blood I saw on the battlefield. Although annoyed, she pursed her lips and endured it silently, not knowing how cute and heartbreaking she looked at that moment. I happened to be passing by on the bridge when we crossed paths. The narrow bridge couldn't accommodate the crowd at that moment. Suddenly, her sister swayed to the side, and she narrowly avoided being pushed. The little child standing by the bridge fell into the water. She hurriedly dropped her lanterns and jumped into the river to save the child. However, her heavy robes became soaked and waterlogged, making it impossible for her to drag the child ashore. Her sister ran up to me, crying and begging me to jump in and save her sister. Actually, even if her sister hadn't begged me, I was going to save her anyway. I first pushed the child to the bank where its parents scooped it up, then I pulled her ashore. As soon as she was on the bank, she hurriedly pushed me away and hugged herself tight, terrified of being seen with me. She then reluctantly thanked me. Before she could finish, her sister ran over crying, pointed at my nose, and insisted that since I had seen her sister's bedraggled state, I must take responsibility for her. I thought about it. Rather than letting him suffer his sister's temper at home, I should just take him back and cherish him like a treasure. After all, he is so wonderful, Why should he be mistreated? So, after solemnly consulting the crown prince, I brought the betrothal gifts to propose, and his parents and sister were even happier than I was, grinning from ear to ear. Only he remained in that same state, pouting and holding it all in. I decided right then that I would definitely take him home and make him my most precious treasure.